Welcome back for another video. Who are the best players to buy? Let's run through all the best players in the game right now. Don't forget, on Tuesday night Arsenal play Chelsea in the League Cup, and then Man City play against Newcastle on Wednesday night, after which point double Gameweek 26 and blank Gameweek 31 will be finalised. Only Arsenal, Wolves, Chelsea and Everton can double in Gameweek 26. Man City can't because Palace already have a game on in midweek in Gameweek 26. So if City knock Newcastle out, their double is going to come later, but they'd still blank in 31. Probably be a double Gameweek 33 for Man City and Palace. So in the interim, the projected points basically account for the double game weeks by using probabilities. Arsenal are around 90% likely to double, given that they're a goal up and they're playing home. So Rye's projections are basically absolutely miles ahead of anyone else over the next 5. In a nutshell, he's got 5.9 fixtures, including the next 5. 4.5 points this week, home fixtures to Sunderland as well, which will have some of the best clean sheet odds that we've seen all season. Currently at 58%, you know what happens next. No goalkeeper has returned more points than Kelleher across the last 8 game weeks. He scored 50 points, 7 bonus points and 4 clean sheets. Last game week was his 3rd double-digit return of the season as well. However, it's just not a good entry point now despite the form. He's now got Newcastle away, followed by Arsenal home. If I was wildcarding this week, it'd be Raya in goal for me. The best Arsenal triple up could genuinely just be triple defence now. I mean, it worked better than double defence plus having Rice or Saka last week anyway. Though if I was going to pick a triple up, I think it would actually still be double defence and one midfielder. We'll talk about Saka and Rice in a minute. Sanchez's next 3 fixtures are incredible, so it's Wolves away, Burnley and Leeds home. Though if you look at the next 5 game week projections, Pickford's second top after Raya, albeit he is 0.7 million more than Sanchez, but that's still a consideration if you need a keeper. He's the top scoring keeper in the game right now, and he's still the only one on 100 plus points this season. Everton's next 5 are Fulham, Bournemouth, Man United, Newcastle and Burnley. Dubravka's got West Ham home next game week, so if you've got Ruths as your other keeper, then it is actually a rare opportunity to use Dubravka, given how unlikely it is for Ruths to score well at the Emirates. Defenders next, and it's the Arsenal backline topping the table. Gabriel, then Timber, then Saliba, then Calafiori. If Arsenal get the double game week and you're not tripled up, then that's your number 1 priority over the next 2 game weeks. And it's a great week to buy this week, 1 week before the double, if it does happen, because they're top of the clean sheet odds, as I say, 58% chance given home to Sunderland. Beyond the Arsenal defenders, Anderson plays Everton home and he's on 4.6 projected points. 10.5 defcons per 90 for Anderson places him 4th in the league among defenders after Senesi, Tarkowski and Richards. Mavropanos is on the table as well since he's got Burnley, but I won't be buying the West Ham defence, whatever you do. Maybe if you play Draft or FPL Challenge you could chuck him in for 1 week. Hall is on 4.2 points, Chalobah 4.0. Chow could actually be the better alternative to Hall and slightly cheaper. He's similar on projected points for the next 5 and he's done great for defcons this season. He's got the defcons more reliably than Hall's got goal involvements, and he's on more points as well. The tricky thing with defenders right now is which are even worth it beyond Arsenal. Like Man City have got some fantastic fixtures coming up, so Gueye and Nunes look great, but they are likely to blank in Gameweek 31, so here's a booked in transfer back out later. Still not enough to say don't buy them, but it does have to be managed carefully. And it's the same with Palace, who could blank with City. They've got Brighton, Burnley and Leeds next. My recommendation is to save a chip in blank Gameweek 31. It's going to be easy enough to navigate that week without needing to use the free hit or wildcard or whatever. There's going to be better double game weeks or a blank game week to use chips later in the season, most likely. Although he's not on the table this week, given he's got Man City. Only the Arsenal defenders have got more projected points over the next 5 than Van Dijk on FPL Review. They've got a great run after City, so I'm definitely keeping hold of Van Dijk. And then it's Tarkowski after Van Dijk. He doesn't make the table this week, but he's worth consideration for 5.8 mil. He's on 20.1 points for the next 5. A surprise benching for Collins last game because someone that I'd been looking at, because Brentford's fixtures in a couple of game weeks time are amazing, and they kept a clean sheet as well without him, and a man down as well, so that's going to be one to monitor. We've got 2 weeks anyway to see what Andrews does against Newcastle and Arsenal anyway, before the easier games after that, where they've got Brighton, Burnley, Bournemouth, Wolves and Leeds. Cash is sitting on 18.5 points for the next 5. He's in consideration for my team as a possible O'Reilly replacement. He's slightly cheaper. The fixtures are there. However, they've just been dreadfully unlucky with so many injuries and it's not going to help their clean sheet chances at all. No McGinn, no Tielemans, no Camera. An 8-pointer for Senesi last game week Clean sheet and DEFCON he got. No defender's got a higher DEFCON tally this season than him, and he's on 19.1 points for the next 5, and he's another great option for the same price as Cash. Senesi is basically a DEFCON pick, low chance of a goal involvement, whereas Cash less likely for DEFCON but much higher chance of goal involvement. So yeah, they've both got their merits, and they're actually dead even for the next 5 game week projections. Last one to mention, Leeds have got Forest home, so Rodon looks a great enabler if you need one for 3.9 mil this week. There's always a decent chance of DEFCON for a lower table centre back. And Hill's the other one, also 3.9 mil, and he's now started 6 in a row for Bournemouth. He's solid defensively and he's got an excellent passing range, and he's taken his chances to impress since being thrown in, and to quote Areola, he says, quote, he's very happy with him. Midfielders up next. Man United have got another home game and it's to Spurs next, and Bruno's your top midfielder for Gameweek25. That's 2 assists last game week, 2 bonus points against Fulham on the weekend, and he's returned in all 4 games in a row now since returning from injury. 5 assists in 4 matches, and that's 12 assists this season, more than any player. 17 goal involvements. He's one of very few assets, especially attacking ones, that you feel you can really rely on right now. Palmer and Salah on the table, for example, but they've just not been reliable and they cost a lot more. Plus we've got Saka's injury, doubt he doesn't make the table this week on that basis. If Saka is fine and he was to get 80 minutes, then he'd actually be on 6.0 projected points, which would place him second next game week. Hold those transfers for further news, especially if you've got him. In my eyes, he's absolutely not worth a transfer out if he's available next game week. You could sell him after the double, but it just doesn't seem worth it if he's fine next game week. Wait and see for news. Arteta described the injury as little, so let's hope he's available. Though if he is out or a major doubt by next Saturday, then Rice is the obvious replacement to retain an Arsenal triple up. However, if you don't own Bruno, then he's the priority replacement first, as long as you can still get an Arsenal triple up if they double in 26. Absolute peak FPL with Gordon wiping Liverpool's clean sheet last match after many had sold him or benched him after a load of blanks before that. He actually played up top as well, with Vita and Voltemada both benched, which was a surprise. I wouldn't say rush to buy him, but given he's got Brentford home and he's on the table, I wouldn't sell either this week. Cunha's got 2 goals and an assist in his last 3 games, and he's outscored Mbeumo last match as well. However, despite the blank, one major sign of encouragement was no Mbeumo early sub, which had been the case before Dorgu's injury. It was Cunha that came off early. If he continues getting 90 minutes, he could be an amazing pick. Though Sesko did come on and score, Cunha also scored, so who knows, but I still think Mbeumo is worth looking at. 6.1 mil Wilson is on the table for Gameweek25 with that Everton home fixture. I wish I had the funds for him, especially at his ownership. He's on the same projected points as Cunha for the next 5, for almost 2 million cheaper. Honourable mention to Ismail Assar, who's a mega differential at 6.3 mil, about the same price as Wilson. He took Palace's penalty last game week as well, with Mateta expected to leave for AC Milan, and he's got Brighton away, and then he's got Burnley home, and then he's got Leeds home. Those next 3 are unbelievable fixtures, especially if he stays on penalties. The caveat is the possible blank game week 31. He'll need to later be sold, but there's definitely scope to add a blank game week 31 player in your team and sell later. I think you might hear the argument here and there to ignore these picks because they're going to blank later, but it's way too early to make that argument for me. We've got 6 free transfers coming after next game week leading up to game week 31, which is more than enough to take a punt on a Sarr and then sell them, or maybe a Munoz, or maybe a Guay if you want a City player. Anderson is the cheap mid that I've mentioned quite a bit recently, especially in last week's content. I said those consistent 4 and 5 pointers add up. That was the argument I was making, but he actually ended up on 7 points with no goal involvements, which is crazy. He got 2 DEFCON points, and he ended up getting 3 bonus points in a 1-1 draw, no goal involvements. He's top in the league for DEFCONs, and he does have some tough fixtures, but tough fixtures for a DEFCON pick are not bad fixtures. There's at least an increased DEFCON potential there. He's taken 75 corners this season, Anderson, which is second most in the league. So he's always got that slight chance of a goal involvement off a corner plus the odd free kick. And I think Stack also looks incredible for 4.8 million, potentially equally good, maybe even better. Anderson's better for DEFCONs, though Stack is still good for DEFCONs, whereas Stack is better for expected goal involvement. He's ahead of Anderson in that respect this season. And in terms of actual goal involvement, Stack's got 9 this season. 9 goal involvements is absolutely mad for a nailed 4.8 mil mid. Anderson's got 4 goal involvements. And lastly, another mid that's worth a mention is Rodgers. He's on 21.7 points for the next 5, penalty potential as well. And he's among the best for midfielders in the next 5 game weeks. Semenyo just behind on 21.3, Enzo 20.2. Now Enzo just misses out making the table this week with the Wolves away fixture, but for 6.8 mil with that fixture and then Burnley leads home, he's obviously one of the best picks in the game. And if I was wildcarding, my midfield would be Bruno and Bumo, Enzo, Rice and then Rodgers, I would say. I mean, Palmer would be really tempting, but I think after that benching, João Pedro, Enzo, maybe defender could be the better triple up. On that note, let's talk about the forwards quickly. So finishing up with the forwards, and it's a two-way tie at the top. Haaland's on 5.1 points against Liverpool, and Bowen's also on 5.1 points against Burnley, and now on penalties for West Ham, which only increases Bowen's appeal. The value of an FPL asset being a pen taker cannot be understated. You usually get a penalty every game week, maybe 2 or 3 sometimes. And let's say if you load your team up with pen takers, like you go Bruno, Thiago, Haaland, Bowen, Saka, you know, those players could have a bad game and then suddenly a teammate wins a penalty and suddenly you're on for goal points, maybe bonus as well. So Bowen is actually second top among the forwards with Thiago for the next 5 game week projections. Ekitike basically tied as well, actually 0.1 behind. João Pedro a bit further down the table just because his expected minutes are a bit on the conservative side. You know, if he gets 80 minutes, then that's 4.3 points next game week. You have to try and account for a possible benching over the next 5 by using expected minutes, which is why some players like João Pedro will have slightly lower average minutes against them on FPL review. You know, if he was to get 4 times 90 minutes and a 30-minute cameo over the next 5, that's 78 minutes on average. He got the bench in last game week though, and I'd say he's predicted to start against Arsenal midweek in the League Cup and probably next game week, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does start all those next 3 juicy fixtures, so he's a fantastic option as well. What are your transfer plans for 25? Leave a comment below and make sure you're subscribing as well for more FPL content to come before the next deadline to help you do well. See you soon for the next one.